I'm Miko, and this is my 75-foot sailboat. Come on aboard. The boat is a 1982 75-foot little harbor sloop. It was designed by Ted Hood, who is more of like a Leonardo da Vinci of the sailing world. That has 2 engines, 235 horsepower diesels by Perkins. I like plants. All of these are from places that I've been. I have a little shower here, so this is actually where I did most of my showering. All of the winches are automatic, so slow and fast. So when you're working with the sails, you don't have to crank like a peasant. You just gotta press some buttons, and that really helps with everything. My plan when I bought this thing was to set off immediately and just go and circumnavigate, but I realized that I was not yet an ocean sailor. I've had to learn a lot about this along the way, and actually the Caribbean was a great proving ground. I learned a lot about a boat and its limitations, about my own limitations, what I could do, and I had to learn, of course, how to fix everything. And so I spent the last couple of years doing that in the Caribbean, and I think that portion completed, and now I just made it back to Charleston. This is sort of where everything goes down. It's called the helm. I got my 2 engines here, and I've got all types of instruments here that I can cycle through, various sensor data, radio, gauges for the engines and the heat. This is the rudder. And then uniquely to this boat, there's actually a second helm just back here. You can see it's a much bigger wheel, but it gives you a lot more feeling in terms of the rudder. And these little windows up here allow you to look at the sail. So this is more for sailing. If you're just doing pure sailing, you would be back here, and if you want to try and like get the most speed out of the boat. If there's a big crew on board, this is where we eat. It becomes a pretty big table. This is my ad hoc, somewhat emergency solar setup. I get about 1800 watts here. In a perfect world, these would be mounted above the cockpit, but it actually saved me for a good year. This leads back into the garage, and I keep lines and other stuff in here. Again, this is the garage, so you put everything in here. This is the windlass. Since I lived on anchor a lot, this was a pretty necessary thing. And then there's a secondary anchor, just in case the first one is lost. These are halyards, they pull stuff up. So this is the thing that you would use to pull that dinghy. The dinghy's off right now, just getting the bottom cleaned and whatnot, but that would usually sit next to the boat. I'm kind of sad, this used to be my car. I just bought a car having come back, but that used to be it. Surfboard usually lives out here. These are the steps that are attached to the side, which just allow you to climb out of the water. These are called Dorade vents, and this is actually what gives you ventilation down below. And there's some ingenious methodology in there that lets the water filter out from the side, and there's 2 in the back too. It provides like a good deal of fresh air that comes down. All these lines keeps you sailing. There's a radar up there. The radar helps, especially at night. My brother taught me to sail when I was 15. He took me on this small chain of lakes, and I was really taken with the idea at that point. As I got older, I thought the idea was really romantic, is to get away and just leave everything behind. And what I really liked about the sailboat thing was you can get anywhere in the world. Something like 80% of countries are accessible, by boat. So you could go anywhere you want. Usually it's by wind power. I thought that was sort of incredibly adventurous and romantic and somewhat dangerous. And I also did have this fear of the deep ocean. I thought it was absolutely terrifying. So I wanted to conquer that. We're in the salon now, and this is actually where I sit and do a lot of my work. The major features here are basically control panels that give power to everything on the boat. Over here, this is what's called the navigation station. Open this up, and it's full of charts, these massive charts. This is called a multifunction display, so it allows you to do all your navigation and whatnot, tells you where your boat is in the world. And I've got 3 of these things. There's a couple of them outside. These are bilge pumps that actually keep us afloat. When there's water in the boat, they get it out. Gauges, black water, fuel. This is an SSB radio. So I have 725 gallons of diesel fuel across 4 tanks. and I have 550 gallons of fresh water across 3 tanks. If I'm solo, I can live off that 500 gallons of water probably for a couple of weeks before I have to use the water maker. It's an old computer, it still works, but I don't really use it. And I've also got VHF radios, walkie-talkies, all that other stuff here. These panels run the 2 generators, so I can turn on the generator from here. That's an alternative to solar or to shore power. I've got stuff in here, I've got my electrical stuff in there, cups, glasses, all with their own sort of thing. And then of course everything has to click in because when the boat heels over, something always breaks. Notable thing here is that once you close this door, this is set up for charter. So you would have your captain and crew back here. The kitchen, otherwise known as the galley, is here. There's a lot of cubbies. You've got your glasses up there. You want to keep everything in a closed area because this boat heels over significantly. Got the air fryer, which has been a game changer for me because I do have an oven in here, but I've never set it up, to be honest. It's electrical. These are on gimbals typically, and most of them will have things that hold the pots in place. I don't have that version. This is run by propane. There's a long propane line and it sits in the back of the boat. And then for refrigeration, I've got deep freeze. I call this the warm fridge and the cold fridge, but they're about the same. This is a great little place. I love it here. It's just cozy. You can curl up. This is where I read stuff. That's where most of my dishes are. Cutlery is up here. And of course, since we lean all the time, this all locks. This closes. Little safe in there where you might find a little alcohol. Under everything you're looking at, there's gonna be cubbies with food or whatever. In this case, it's food and supplements. The final piece of the kitchen would be this pantry. So they're all locked in, but I have a lot of stuff stored here, whether it's spices or rice or... This is technically the crew cabins, but I'm currently using for storage, so you could fit 2 to potentially 3 if there's a couple. This thing is something you might not see on most boats. There's usually something called a lee cloth, which you would attach here and here. When you go down below to sleep on these monohull boats, they're leaning over, so this actually keeps you in the bed. And then they've got access to their own restroom back there, but they share that with the guy in this bunk. This is technically the captain's bunk, so it gives them a little bit more privacy. So this is the bathroom. It's got a nice little place to sit here. Behind you, the washer dryer. Deck prisms. So it's very old school technology, but basically if you've got sunlight coming from the top, it will basically just split it and help filter and bring sunlight into the room, and you've got these all throughout the boat. And this takes us to the garage, which is a bit more of like an industrial storage space. I keep fuel here. I've got life preservers here and dog food. I keep cleaning chemicals, paint, and of course up there, you know, those 2 tubes is where your anchor chain runs down. So when most people meet me, they have been surprised that I'm on a 75-foot boat. In any harbor, I'm usually the biggest boat, unless we're in Antigua or someplace where there's these mega sailboats. I often have friends that'll come for a couple of weeks or plan to come for a couple of weeks and stay for much longer, 2 to 3 months. In one night, the most amount of people I've had to sleep here is 11, besides me. There's various areas of expertise that you need to keep something like this running. So I've been an active sort of student on that front. So I've done a pretty good deal of nautical miles. It's about 7,000 at this point. For each 5,000, there's like a sailor tattoo thing. I just got this recently for the first 5,000. I'm in the executive search world, so I'm basically a headhunter, and I move executives in the consulting world. Companies hire me to find hard to find people, and I dig them out and take them through the interview process, then negotiate compensation, and then put them in those jobs. This is a very kind of old school feature, but you've got a flag cubby, all of the flags of the places that I've been. And then I'll take you downstairs. Guest quarters. This is one of the guest cabins. They're supposed to be a little bit nicer than what you have in the front for the crew. Those are a bit more Spartan. Then across the way is basically an identical bedroom with the 2 double beds. Actually, I have a friend staying here right now, so that's kind of set up for her. She uses this restroom, but this is also called the dayhead engine room. It's the beating heart of the boat. All the systems are down here. So I've got a little workbench here with a vise, and this is where you know, would try and fix many things, as the case has been. My two diesel engines are Roxanne and Lucille. It's a little bit loud in here, but all of these things have a purpose. This is the water maker. This is fire suppression. So if this detects high heat, it will release a bunch of CO2 into the engine room. These are boilers or water heaters. These here are the individual fuel filters for each engine and each Jenny. These are the refrigeration pumps up here. Those are going all the time. So this is one of the guest baths. This is called the day head. It's referred to that way because when you're upstairs in the boat driving during the day, you just come down. This is the one everyone uses. You know, if you take a shower and there's water there, you actually have to pull this to drain it. That's called the shower pump. This is my bedroom. There's a ton of space, 2 double beds here. This particular marina costs about $1,800 a month. I'm not on a meter, which is nice. All types of cubbies in here and all types of storage, as you can imagine. All of these open. Over here, it's kind of like just a reading nook. Sometimes I work from here. This is nice. These are my 2 main closets. Every room has 1 or 2, at least, fire extinguishers, which is important because most boats go down from fire. And then above us, we have, of course, a relic from my motorcycle riding days, and I keep most of my rods here. My bathroom here in the master cabin is split off. So this is a shower and a vanity over here, plus toilet and vanity over here. This leads to the back cockpit. Just as another seating area, it's meant to be a bit more private. And it can also be set up as a day bed. So there's a big piece of wood that comes here, another cushion, and this just becomes a big queen size bed, which is pretty nice, depending on where you're at. My journey, the idea behind this is like, I've been thinking for about 20 years about this is what I want to do. I want to get on a sailboat. I want to sail around the world. And I haven't quite done that yet. I've only done the Caribbean thing, but it's been good from the perspective of like really getting to know the boat, her limitations, learning not only about sailing more, because I'd never been an ocean sailor before, but also all of the necessary stuff when you have a sailboat like this, which is how to fix everything and all these systems. So thanks for checking out my boat. You can see some of these adventures at Mikozade, which is at Mikozade. Peace.